Hello, welcome to my adventures in China as an English teacher. I'll discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly on this channel. I document, analyze, and brainstorm ideas for my own personal classes that I teach. You'll hear my own personal journey developing as an English teacher as it happens. For today's topic, I'll analyze a young learners class that I taught this morning. This specific class I've been teaching for almost 3 months. The class size is 4 students. The average age is 6 years old. The class duration is 1 hour long. The class topic are the 4 seasons, weather, and clothing. So most of the time there's 4 students. However, today we went down to 2 students because 2 of the students were moved to a higher level class, and the 2 that I have will be moving up as well. It's just that some of the other classes were full and they're going into different levels. So this specific class is one of my favorite classes to teach. The reason being is that they're very easy to teach. They're very well behaved, they're fast learners, and it's just they don't give me any headaches. So this tends to be one of my favorite classes. So there are 2 boys and 2 girls for the 4 students. 2 of them had went 1 boy, 1 girl went into another class starting today, and then the remaining 2 is 1 boy and 1 girl. The girl that was in the class, she is the strongest student of the 4, and she really has a strong grasp of the things that she learns. And I suspect that potentially all 4 of the students have their parents really help them and encourage them to practice at home and do their homework. Whereas some of my other classes, the students may skip out on homework, they may not pay attention in class, but this class, they pay attention, they listen, they do the activities, they do their homework. So they really get the most out of the class. Whereas some other students in maybe my other classes, they're like around the same age, right? 4, 5, 6 years old. They might not do their homework. They might not pay attention in class. They might not participate or really try. You really have to call their name out and get them to try. So, and they sometimes want to use Chinese rather than use English to communicate. So that's something that really inhibits their development. But this specific class, it's a lot smaller class size, 4 students. In one of my other videos that I discussed, I think I was doing like 8 or 9 students, and that's a little bit more challenging for young learners at 5 or 6 years old. And I didn't need a TA for this. Like almost every time I don't need a TA with this specific class. I think there were a little bit more, like 5 or 6 students, but 2 of them, I think there was summer and then they kind of dropped off. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. So topic is seasons, and the target language is like summer, winter. They use autumn and spring. So they don't say fall, they just say autumn. I do tell them that they can also use fall to make the equivalent. And one of the students, the girl, she actually knew that it was also fall as well. So this is the second class that they will have covered seasons. So the questions that we have them kind of produce and the answers, it goes like this: what's the weather like in summer? What's the weather like in winter, etc. Right? And then they'll answer, it's hot, it's sunny, it's cold, it's snowy, or maybe it's hot and sunny. So they'll use and with it. So they'll have a question and an answer. And then today's lesson, we added an extra question. What do you wear in summer? What do you wear in winter? What do you wear in spring? They'll say, it's like, what do you wear in summer? I wear a t-shirt. I wear I wear sunglasses, right? So they'll answer something to that. And I've taught this particular topic to another group of classes, like maybe 1 or 2 months back. And one of the things that in the past and that happens is they'll kind of confuse the two questions. So if I start teaching what do you wear in summer and they start getting used to that, if I switch back and I ask them what's the weather like in summer, and I just ask them what's the weather like in summer, they will answer I wear a t-shirt, which is they don't really fully grasp the question. So it's almost like they've been trained to parrot the a specific answer when they hear summer. So they don't hear the full question, and it is one of the developmental stages for learners at this age, and it's pre-operational. So from 2 to 7, it's pre-operational. So they don't have as strong of an analysis of the language. So they kind of see language as more of like a whole. They'll associate images, symbols, and things like that with the language. So they don't necessarily see it as clearly as we do. Like we actually know the exact difference between those two sentences. So that might be what's happening, because very consistently that kind of happens. And that also might be because it's their second language, right? Mandarin Chinese is their first language unless they speak a different dialect, which I did hear one of the parents was speaking to their son in Cantonese. So that will be like English will be like their third language. So it's like Cantonese first language, Mandarin's second, and English their third language. And as a side note, Cantonese is a dialect of Chinese, but it's quite different from Mandarin, to where you really have to learn the difference between the two. If you don't know the two, and you can't communicate between the two very well. So it's like almost like French and Spanish. You can kind of pick up some things, but if you don't know the other language, or you don't know bits and pieces of it, you can't communicate. So there was 2 students, and the girl, she was able to tell the difference, and I was surprised, because I wanted to do it on purpose to see if that would happen, right? I would ask, what's the weather like in summer, winter, etc., right? And then they'll answer, it's hot, it's sunny, or it's snowy, it's windy, it's rainy. They'll answer those questions, but then and then I'll ask them, I'll do the next question, what do you wear in summer, what do you wear in winter? And they'll answer, and they'll get used to that. And then I will switch back to the question, what's the weather like in summer? And the girl, she was able to, like, without missing a beat, answer the question correctly. And I was actually a little surprised that she was able to answer so without messing up and consistently. So that surprised me. So but the boy, he made the mistake like I anticipated, like all the other learners that I had taught in my previous class. So what do you wear in summer? I wear a t-shirt. What do you wear in winter? I wear a jacket. And then I'll switch to a question. What's the weather like in summer? And then he'll say, I wear a t-shirt. And then it's like it's the wrong answer. He didn't get the question because he didn't hear it. So I have to repeat it. What's the weather? So I have to emphasize the word weather to him so that he hears it and he corrects it. So then I started changing to some other topics that they learned before. So I asked them, what do you do in the morning? And that's something they learned maybe 3 months or 4 months ago. And they were able to pick that up. The girl was able to pick it up quick. She was like, huh? She was confused because we weren't learning that, but she was able to produce it very well. She's like, I wake up, I brush my teeth, brush my hair, and she was able to produce what she learned in the past. So she actually knows what she's hearing. The boy was able to do it as well. He had to think about it for a second, but he was able to do it as well. And then I started asking like random questions, like how old are you? And then it's like, oh, I'm 6 years old, and what's your name? And then so I was just kind of playing and messing with them to see if they actually understood the questions, so that they're not just parroting, or it's not necessarily parroting, but I'm not sure the exact phrase, but basically they hear like a question, and then they have an automatic answer, so they don't actually understand the question fully. So maybe they just hear the word summer, and they associate summer with clothing or something, or maybe so they'll sometimes confuse it. So that's what I think that's happening. So I just wanted to kind of test out to see how much comprehension do they actually know. And that was something very interesting that I noticed. So this is potentially the last class that I teach them. Their reading is very, very strong. They can read very effectively. Their writing is not, like, for their age, it's pretty good compared to all the other students that I teach. Their writing is pretty good. Their reading is exceptional. Like, I think it's pretty exceptional that they can read quite a bit of material, given that they're 6 years old. So I know that in the US, maybe some 6 years old, they might not be able to read a lot. They might not even know their ABCs very well yet, and they know A through Z, and they know all the sounds, all the variations pretty decently, like Magic E sounds and the standard sounds. So I think this is a very strong group that that if they keep on learning, they'll keep on improving. So I was just thinking, like, how is that reproducible? Like, how are they performing so well? Like, this specific group, is it the teachers before? Because I took over this class from other teachers. So was it their teaching method was so effective, right? Was it like one part that, like, maybe 1/3 is like the teachers being really good, and then 1/3 is like the students just being very exceptional and bright, and then like the last third is like their parents are really invested in them learning. So I'm not exactly sure what the main thing is. I feel like it is that they do pay attention in class. They are motivated to learn, and they're not like resistant to learning, and they're very well behaved. So that's like huge. It makes the teacher's job very easy. You don't have to constantly try to like manage misbehaviors and spending your focus trying to get certain students to produce, right? Some students end up just kind of sitting there and they're not speaking, so you have to like call on them and get them to start speaking or participating. And some students are a little shy, so you have to kind of slowly get them to participate. But all these students, they all are willing to participate. They all speak when asked to speak. They do all their homework. So it just makes it very, like, it's just like a scenario where they all can get the most results possible, I would say, given their age. Some of the other classes, like I'm just thinking, like, how can I get some of the other classes to this kind of level? I would say it's harder on those like big 8, 9, 10 student classes. It's quite challenging. I find that when you start a new class, a brand new class, they've never had exposure to an English class, and this is like your brand, like, or just completely new. They don't have these bad habits where they start talking to their friends or they start acting out. So because I have like a brand new class, I think they're all 4 and 5-year-olds, and they are pretty decently well behaved. They do have some occasional talking here and there, but you basically set the tone and you set like how this whole like course is gonna head down. So I'll eventually talk about that class, and I do like that other class that's like completely brand new. I basically started them on the very first day, and I think that was like 1 or 2 weeks ago. And they're taking like baby steps by step, but they're very well behaved. So gotta make sure that's reinforce things like homework, good pronunciation, and those tiny things, those little things to get them to get in the habit, like the activities that they do, so that they get in the proper habit of knowing how to do certain activities that I have them do, and well behaved during those activities, because there's certain activities that they get a little rowdy. If you play like musical chairs, sometimes certain classes, that if it's not your own class, they might just start jumping and running everywhere. So you really have to train them. But if they don't have exposure, they can be really well behaved. So that's some of my thoughts. And I really want to kind of be able to teach and make it more effective in their absorption of the English language. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. If there's anything specific that you liked, please comment below. Let me know. If there's anything you disliked, also let me know so I can make these videos better in the future. All right, have a great one. See you next time.